All right, everybody. So really quickly, I'm just going to finish up with Haydn. I'm going to fast forward past all the things that we already know. And remember, he was the father of the symphony, as well as last week we learned he was the father of the string quartet because he invented both of those types of music, the form for them. We talked about how he married somebody that he really didn't love, wasn't the happy marriage. And then we talked about how he worked for the Esterhazy family for 30 years. We listened to that string quartet. If you remember, they were dressed in uniform. That was the president's own string quartet. So just wanted to mention a couple of very important works that Haydn did. One is the creation and the other one is the seasons. So when we did Handel, we talked about um, oratorio versus opera, where opera is a play, costumes and sets, but oratorio is more like a concert. So these are both oratorios, remember, based on lyrics from the or based on from words from the Bible. So the creation and the seasons. But I wanted to mention those because they're very important compositions that Haydn wrote. Now, how Haydn died, see if I can get this to move forward. As he got older, his body just started breaking down. His limbs were swelling. It was hard for him to walk. It was hard for him to breathe. He was shaking a lot. And even though his body was breaking down, his mind was very good. And he talked about how he had music running through his mind all the time, but he was so frail and feeble he couldn't write it down. He was at this point in his life very well known and famous, especially in Austria there. He did have money, but he really didn't feel even well enough to uh, explain to his servants how to write down this music. So we probably lost a lot of music that Haydn had in his head because of his health. On the very last day that Haydn was alive, he got this burst of energy where he played on three separate times. He played his favorite hymn that he wrote, which he called it the Emperor's Hymn. It's also known as the Austrian hymn today. Germany uses it as their national anthem. If they win a gold medal, you'll hear this tune played for Germany. And also churches have put words to it as well. So this was his favorite hymn that he wrote, and he played it on three separate times during that last day of his life. And people thought maybe he was getting better, but sadly, by the end of the day, he had passed away. Now, here's the freaky thing. They buried Haydn's body, but his head disappeared. So years later, they found out that scientists had actually robbed Haydn's grave and had taken his head. They wanted to study it, like because he was so good at music. They wanted like to study the bumps of his head to see what it was about his brain that made him such a great musician. It wasn't until years later they found that out. But when they did, they reunited the head and the body together, and it is buried here in this mausoleum. It's actually a lot bigger than it looks in this picture. The picture was taken, this camera was far away from the casket, but it's like a big marble with angels on top of it. So this is where Haydn lays to rest. All of his body is there now. So kind of a freaky story there. The Emperor's Hymn here, I'm going to give you a link to listen to it. This is Miss Diane Bish, and she's playing it on this big, beautiful organ in Austria. So I'll let you click on the link next. Oops, I don't want to do that. I'll do this. See ya.